Hi everyone. So I am starting a video blog and it is about addiction and mental illness. And addiction and mental illness together are called dual diagnosis. Now many addicts suffer from dual diagnosis. I don't see very many that don't. And I would like to share with you guys my story and my recovery and where I'm at in my life and the things that I use to ensure a successful recovery. So I guess I'll start at the beginning. So when I was around 2 years old in Oregon, we started moving around a lot, and I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't realize why until I was about 4 years old. And at this point, we were in Florida. We had a nice big house. I was going to school. I was trying to get friends, but I'd always been the odd one out. I felt things on a deeper level, and I couldn't figure out all that noise in my brain. So it was hard for me. But at this time, my dad was abusing my mother, and us girls, if we got a spanking or anything, it wasn't a tap. It was a paddle, and it was not very easy. And I would come home almost every day to an ambulance and doctors trying to give my dad meds and trying to figure out what was going on with him. And we knew he had mental illness, but we didn't really know how bad it was and how genetics affect that. And he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, manic depression. And those things are genetic, so us girls were suffering not only the abuse, but the mental illness as well. So I'd always thought, my dad was my best friend. He always took me everywhere, and I was always with him. And I didn't realize that, he was hitting my sisters too until about 8 years old. We moved here to Missouri, settled down in a small town called Bodark in a really big old house. And it was very secluded. And I never told anyone, that I was being abused or that my family was being abused. I was mentally and emotionally abused a lot. I was not really physically abused, except for once, and it didn't happen again after that. But the emotional abuse, it wears on the brain, and sometimes it can be far worse than the physical abuse. So, I tried to deal with it as best as I could as a child, but it wasn't easy. And when my oldest sister, Elise, turned 15, she got in a severe car accident. Half of her skull had to be removed because it was fractured in 5 places, and she had to have metal plates put in her neck because she broke it. And she was in a coma for 2 weeks. At the time, my parents, they stayed at the hospital. I was home with my sister, and my grandma came down to take care of us. And a lot of people pray, and a lot of people care. And not one for prayer myself. I do believe in positive vibrations, and I do believe that prayer gives out positive vibrations. So when all these people were thinking about my sister and asking for her healing, she recovered very quickly. She recovered in about 2 months, to a point where she could be a little more successful in what she did. Now, mind you, I'm about probably 11, and I thought that she had left me and she didn't care about me because my middle sister, Lindsay, had been abusing me, both physically and mentally, and calling me fat, and I just got to the point where I didn't want to eat anymore, and I just didn't think that I was good at what I did, and I was in choir, and I thought I sang good, and she'd always tell me I was crap, and Elise was always there to stand up for me. And in my mentally ill, twisted child brain, I took that as a car accident, as her leaving me and not taking care of me. So I hated her for a long time. A long time, we'll get to that. Well, about 2 years after her car accident, my sister, Lindsay, got pregnant at 15. She had my niece, Tablin, and she married the man that she got pregnant by. My parents, I don't want to say made her, but they kind of did. So they were Mormon, and they didn't believe that you should have a child out of wedlock. So they got married, and Lindsay moved out, and Elise moved out shortly after finishing homeschool, so I was left home. alone with my parents. And I thought things would start looking up. You know, my mom at that point had already kicked my dad out once, and with the promise that he would quit hitting. And he did. He quit hitting. He got help. He got help from a homeopathic doctor, and she did a lot of energy work on him, and he didn't have to take meds anymore, and she helped him very much. But, you know, stress comes back, and I guess he was having a bad day one day, and I was on the phone 1 minute past my curfew, and he shoved me into the wall. I looked him straight in the eye and I said, "You cannot do that. You can't do that. You'll lose Mom. You'll lose her." And he never touched me again after that. It doesn't mean the damage wasn't done, though. All those years of seeing abuse and really not knowing what to do with it. I guess they did put me in therapy for a while. I just don't remember it. Blocked out a lot of things. There's a lot of gaps in my memory from my childhood. So, but around the time that we moved to Republic, Missouri, I had injured my shoulder rather severely. So I was on opiate pain medication. And that was the first taste I had. And I fell in love with it right then. So, my prescriptions right now, I didn't know what to do. And the doctors didn't tell me that I would go through physical withdrawal. But I guess I got lucky and got my wisdom teeth taken out soon after and had another script. So, there you go. It kept going on like that. I was also on antibiotics a lot as a kid, younger and even at that age. I had been on antibiotics a lot, which caused a health issue for me that has also been playing a part in my addiction. It's called candidiasis, which is yeast in the bloodstream. No, not yeast infections, I know what you're thinking, but yeast in the bloodstream, and it can kill you. It got really bad around the time I was 15 and I was taking all these pain medications. So I tried a gluten-free, sugar-free diet, and I tried a yeast cleanse. And it caused my body so much pain because the yeast was dying off and causing extreme toxicity. And I was fatigued, and I was in bed for 2 weeks, and I was angry. It caused extreme depression, violent mood swings. But eventually got it under control, and I found an herbal substance to continue taking. Now, I was getting healthier at this point, but I was still using drugs. My dad at the time would get a Xanax script, and he wouldn't take it. Don't know why he got it. So, of course, I would grab it. And this was around the time that I got caught. I got caught buying pills. So my parents decided to homeschool me in hopes that they could keep me from that lifestyle. I wish I could say that they did keep me away from the lifestyle, but they didn't. So, and I know this is kind of like dreary, all that, you know, it'll get better. I just gotta start, you know, where I started so you guys can understand me a little better. But this will be more fun in the future, I promise. So, anyways, so I was at home and I would go to school sometimes, you know, for certain classes or whatever, so they can keep me away from it for good. But I was taking my dad's Xanax and falling asleep in class and, you know, just not really doing very good. But the opiates, they were my love. And I would, even at a very young age, work for those doctors and get those meds. And when I couldn't find them that way, I would buy them off the street. So, you know, this went on for a few years. I was stuck on pills. And around the time that I left home, I turned 18, I moved in with my sister. And I was sleeping with a friend of mine, not really in a relationship. And he was one of my first. Now, let me tell you, when you're raised Mormon and they teach you that there is no sex before marriage, if you have sex before marriage, you're going to be guilty as hell, man. And I was. I thought I was going to hell, thought I was going to die, and just, oh my gosh, it was horrible. It was horrible, but I kept doing it. Even though it made me feel like crap, and it made me hate myself, I kept doing it. I kept having sex, and it was wrong. In my brain, you know, I was like, man, fuck, this is wrong, you know? I can't be doing this, but I kept doing it. Because I loved the feeling that it gave me. And then that was the first time that I fell in love with sex. and it became kind of an addiction. For a while it was an addiction, but I've learned and grown and realized that my sexuality and my need for sex is not an addiction anymore. It's just a need to experience and love. So it's fun. But at the time, it didn't have any positive feelings for me, but I kept doing it. I kept doing it. And I kept getting more and more depressed. So I got hooked on cocaine. Really harshly. Me and my sister and her husband were all doing it really hard. Well, at the time, I knew that I had problems. I had manic bipolar and depression as well as anxiety disorder. And I'd always had an anger issue growing up, in my family's home because of my dad, and I would just scream right back, and I would get angry if I didn't get what I wanted and all that stuff. So I had issues. Well, the cocaine made it worse. I tried to kill my friend. I threw a knife at him, threw lighters at his head all the time, and I was just constantly angry. Nobody liked me. And then someone walked into my life. My best friend's brother. He ended up later being my husband. Well, he helped me get clean for a while, and I moved in with him. And I found out I was pregnant by him after only 3 months of being together, and we were getting ready to split up. Well, I stayed with him. I worked my ass off, paid the bills, and realized that he was a piece of shit. He left me when I was 8 months pregnant. He went to Kansas City for an army thing, and he didn't come back. And he stayed with someone else, a girl that had 2 boys, and I didn't understand why he would want to be with her when he had his own kid coming. He didn't even show up for his son's birth, and he knew. He knew I was having him. He knew I was in labor. And he didn't come. He didn't come until 2 hours after Leon was born, and Leon is amazing, by the way. Well, anyways, me and Chris ended up getting back together and getting married, and we lived together for a while in Aurora. Now, around this time, he was very emotionally abusive to me, and I started using again really heavily. I was taking 20 plus pills a day, snorting them, anything, anything I could do. And I left him. I left him when I took Leon, and I left him because I wasn't going to get any better in that town. So I started working, and I started taking care of myself and my son. And this is the part of the story where it gets good, and it goes to complete shit, okay? So I can laugh about it now, I can laugh about it now. Well, I met my fiance at a call center, and he was beautiful. At first I kind of liked a few other guys, and at the time I was like, well, I'm separated, I'll just do what I want, blah, 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 Well, let's give you a little insight on us. We're pretty funny. So, one night, his apartment was not too far from work. One night, me and a couple friends went back with him, and there was this guy that I liked, and we were making out and stuff, I like this guy, so I was like, whatever. And these other 2 were hot too, it was my fiance and his best friend. And we went upstairs, and I started having sex with the guy, and he literally, I know, TMI, stuck it in me once and then left. Come to find out, he had a girlfriend, and I did not know that, so that was awkward. Anyways, around this time, my fiance, oh my goodness, obviously we're not together yet, but my fiance comes around the corner with his shirt off, and he says, hey, you wanna fuck? I was like, hell yeah. So, we did our thing. Dude never showed back up. Really awkward anytime he hung out with us after that, but, so, me and my fiance realized something, the day that we slept together for the first time, that we were soulmates. And, I mean, he had never met anyone like me, and I never met anyone like him, and we thought we were alone in our weird, quirky things that we liked in the bedroom. So, we clicked there, but that wasn't the only thing that clicked. I'm an empath, and I can feel everyone's emotions on a very deep level. That's why noise in my head, I couldn't handle it back when I was a kid, but I realized what it was when I got older. So I use that to my advantage a lot. But with Dylan, my fiance, um, he wouldn't let me in all the way, and there was something hiding in there, and I wanted to find out what it was, and I knew that he was special. So, you know, when he found out that I was Wiccan, you know, I'm Wiccan now, he was amazed because his mom was Wiccan, and he never really met another one, and not a nice one at that. So, you know, there was something about us, you know, my belief system and his 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 blockers that he put up, man. So we were like this. We never left each other's side, and that's when I found out that he was an addict as well. He would smoke a lot of weed and, you know, take a lot of pills, and he's the one who taught me what the devil was. The devil called heroin. She's so evil, man. And I told myself I wouldn't do it. I told myself I would never do it. And for a while I didn't. And I tried to get him to quit because I loved him. I loved him so much and I wanted to see him happy. Because I saw that sorrow deep in his eyes, that stuff that he wouldn't let me get to, and I knew that I had to save him. And when I met him, I envisioned his death. I did. I saw it, you know, and when I put myself in the mix, I changed that for him, and I brought him to life, you know, man, he was gonna be okay. Well, I ended up giving in, and I ended up using the she-devil. Now, my life went south really quick after this. I ended up handing my own son to my ex-husband. Handing him over. And it was really, really the hardest decision I ever made, but I knew that if I didn't, I would end up hurting him too. So he went to live with his dad, and I started using heroin every day. And I didn't want to leave Dylan's side. I chose him. I chose him. And we'll fast forward here because I know you guys are probably getting bored. But as me and Dylan progressed in our addiction, we lost everything. We ended up staying in a hotel called Fairview, and one night I overdosed. I had taken some benzos, and I had done some heroin. And I overdosed. And I died. And then I woke up being shot full of Narcan 5 times in a row because my lungs kept collapsing. Now you would think that that would be the end of it for me, right? It wasn't. But I did get better for a while. I went to the treatment, and I found out that I was pregnant with my second son. Mr. Aiden, he's so beautiful. And me and Dylan, we stayed together and we got our own place. And I had that baby. And then started using again because I was in pain a lot. And Dylan had said, you know, you deserve a break. So he started using again. And we lost everything. Again. And yet again I found myself handing my son to someone else. I handed him to Dylan's parents. And now they have complete control. And Dylan's mom wants to use my son as a replacement because Dylan didn't turn out okay. You know, his parents are rude, and his dad was like, I knew that kid would need a shrink someday, yet he never got him a shrink. And his mom just always pushed him down for being who he was. So now she's got my son. And as soon as DFS closed my case with him, after I got clean and I went through residential treatment, she filed for guardianship. I have a warrant out for my arrest, and she's using that against me. I can't go get him in anytime because she'll call the cops until I get my bond paid off. So, you know, addiction leads to horrible and it sucks. Lost both my boys, and I put a man before my children that I shouldn't have. Now, the fiance, he's in treatment in Arkansas. This is probably like his 5th time, and he's such a tortured soul. Not only did his mother beat him down, but he went overseas, and that broke him the rest of the way. He doesn't know how to be clean. He doesn't know how to be an adult, and neither do I. I mean, it's always been addiction. I've never known anything different. But there's something different around this time, you know? The atmosphere has just changed, and I love my kids, and I want to be with my kids, and I want to be with my fiance. Now, it might take him longer, but I'll be here when he's ready, and we'll be together. So, you know, I lost Aiden for a very horrible reason. There's a lot of things that eat at me, but I did start shooting up. And Dylan stuck that needle in my arm for the first time, and it was fucked. But I overdosed right next to my 10-month-old. At the time, he was about 8 months old. And my fiance brought me back. Again. Here we go, you know. But I got him back. Or he got me back, sorry. This is a lot. We'll get into why I'm mentally not there right now. But, anyways, so, after I lost Aiden, we started getting really bad, and I overdosed again. But what had happened is my doctor at treatment had put me on something called naltrexone, which is an opiate blocker. Now, I was only 3 days clean, and you're supposed to be 7 to 10 days clean before they put you on that. I went straight into precipitated withdrawal, which is like withdrawal times 1,000, and I had seizures. So in order to try and turn it off, after I already went to the hospital and they wouldn't do anything for me, in order to try and turn it off, I started using again, of course. And by the 3rd day, my tolerance was gone, and I overdosed again. My parents signed an affidavit at the hospital, and I ended up in a psych ward for 3 days. I was very angry. But after that, I went to residential at a treatment center here in Springfield, Missouri, and I go to NA, and I'm very happy. And I use natural substances to deal with most of my issues. Now, I'm on Suboxone. Now, everybody freaks out when they hear that word. They're like, oh, so, you know, a lot of people use it to get high. I do not. I use it to feel better, but I am weaning off of it. I'm going to go a more natural route. But what the Suboxone does is it puts gaps in my memory, makes me forget what I'm saying, gives me hot flashes, insomnia, and just basically I just kind of feel like stupid most of the time. So it's really hard for me. Even this and talking this long is very hard. Anyways, so now I'm getting clean, and I've taken a step back from my fiance because he's not being very nice right now, and he says he's clean, and I'm really hoping that he is. But he's never been honest with me about his drug use when we try to get clean. And he finally was this time. He did tell me the last time he used, and I hope it really was the last time that he used. Well, anyways, so in my future here, I just leveled up to level 2 in treatment, so I will be going to morning classes. And then I got a job that I start tomorrow, and I will be working hard to pay off this bond so that I can walk into this courtroom and get my son back and walk out of there with him. And I've got to fix my car as well, and, you know, I mean, all those things that I lost, I'm rebuilding, and I'm really excited about it. So, you know, and this is just the intro video. This stuff is going to get way more fun, I promise. Oh my goodness, I'm like so ADD, so we'll talk about all kinds of stuff. Well, anyways, as I said earlier, I have candidiasis, which is yeast of the bloodstream. Not yeast infections, yeast in the bloodstream. And I have to be on a special diet for it, or yeast cleanse, and I'm doing that again, and it sucks, because I'm not only giving up heroin, but I'm giving up sugar and all that stuff as well. So, but I take different things for it. I take something called Pydarco, and this is an antifungal. It kills the yeast in my blood, or at least keeps it under control. And instead of sugar, I use Truvia. Super awesome, really tasty. So if you don't want sugar and you want a natural alternative, that is the route to go. Valerian root for sleep and anxiety, it's great, I love it. Magnesium for muscle pain and sleep and anxiety, awesome. There's also kava kava that you can use, and curcumin, which is for pain as well. And once I have the money, I will be buying those. I also do a lot of crystal healing as well, and energy healing and meditation. They work wonders, and so does exercise and your diet, and all that stuff can make you really feel whole. And that is my goal here, is to feel whole and to have both my boys back in my own home. And I will get there. And I will make these videos and let you guys know how it's going and show you how I got better and I figured out a way. I figured out a way to get through. And there is hope, and I promise you there is hope. And do not be shy. Go to those NA meetings. It's like home. It's the only place that you'll find recovery. It is. So, now that we're done with all that ugly stuff, we got that out of the way, and I was super awkward, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.